Everyone says real estate builds wealth, but for who? Because lately it feels like the people who already had money are getting richer and the rest of us are just fighting to survive rent hikes, $8 lattes, and landlords who call a closet a junior one bedroom. And that's not just a vibe, it's data. The wealth gap in Canada has exploded over the last decade, and real estate's sitting there in the corner like, yeah, that might have been me. So today, we're unpacking how something that used to represent stability and opportunity quietly turned into one of the biggest wealth dividers in Ontario. Let's start with the obvious, the generation gap. Our parents' generation, they could buy a home in their 20s, pay it off by 40, and retire comfortably. Now, people in their 30s are just trying to get pre-approved for a parking space. In 1980, average Ontario home cost about 3 times the average income. Today, it's over 10 times. Meanwhile, anyone who bought years ago is sitting on hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions in equity, just because they bought before avocado toast was invented. And that's the real difference, timing. Boomers bought when homes were affordable. Millennials and Gen Z were buying during the sequel, Revenge of the Appraisal. And equity builds equity. You refinance, you invest, you renovate, suddenly your house is making more money than you are. So people who already own keep winning, while the rest are stuck refreshing Realtor.ca like it's a dating app. How real estate became a wealth machine. Here's the funny part. Real estate wasn't always an investment tool. It was just where you lived. Then one day someone said, wait, what if my house made me rich while I sleep? And Canada said, say less, I got you. Homeownership became the main way to build wealth. And when property value exploded, the wealth divide did too. I mean, think about it. Someone who bought a detached home in Mississauga for $300K in the 90s now owns a $1.3 million asset. Meanwhile, the person renting the basement suite in that same house, they've basically paid off half that mortgage for them. And no, landlords aren't villains. The system just naturally rewards ownership. The higher prices go, the harder it becomes for everyone else to get in. Even if you're making good money, saving for a down payment feels like you're chasing a moving target, blindfolded in a blizzard. And that trickles into everything, careers, family planning, even where people live. People are delaying kids and moving 2 hours away from work just to afford a place. We've reached a point where a commute is basically a part-time job. And it's not just housing. When property costs rise, everything follows. Rent, food, labor, even your barber suddenly needs to adjust price due to overhead. It's not like a cost of living tax that nobody voted for. Businesses pay more for space, so they charge more for everything. And suddenly your $14 sandwich is basically a down payment on lettuce. Owning a home used to be normal. Now it's a milestone, and not the happy birthday kind, the you beat the final boss kind. All right, story time. I had a client last year, both full-time jobs, solid salaries, no debt. They saved for 5 years straight to buy their first home. By the time they were ready, the prices had gone up 40%. Their savings didn't stand a chance. Another family in Burlington refinanced their home just to help their kids get a down payment. That's the new normal. Generational wealth transfers are now the entry ticket to homeownership. If your parents own a property, you're ahead. If not, you're basically trying to win Monopoly while starting without any pieces. Owning a home used to be about effort. Now it's about inheritance. And then came the investors. People realized properties made more money than most jobs, and suddenly everyone became a mini developer. Airbnbs, pre-con flips, multi-unit conversions, the game changed. And that's fine, unless you're the person still trying to buy your first home. Because now regular Canadians are competing not just with each other, but with capital. It's not about who works hardest anymore, it's about who has the leverage. And the everyday buyer, they're showing up to the race after the gun's already gone off barefoot. Hard work doesn't cut it like it used to. You can't out-hustle compound appreciation. That frustration is real. You see it everywhere, online, at open houses, even in the family dinners. People are exhausted. They've done everything right, saved, worked, sacrifices, and still can't catch up. Meanwhile, others who bought early are sitting comfortably watching their home make 6 figures in appreciation like it's a side hustle. That's where the resentment comes from. Not jealousy, just discouragement. It's like the system playing favorites and you weren't invited to the group chat. And when people feel like that long enough, they stop planning for the future, they stop building, and start surviving. All right, here's the truth. Real estate is still one of the strongest wealth builders, but the ladder's missing a few rungs now. It's not just about laziness or greed, it's about access. People who already own can use equity to build more. People who don't are sprinting uphill on ice, holding a down payment that's melting. Until housing becomes more accessible through smarter policy, new development, or creating ownership models, the gap will keep widening. But it's not all doom and gloom. There are ways to get in. Smaller markets, co-ownership, duplexes, long-term plays. It's about adjusting expectations and not giving up. And that's where the right strategy matters. Even in a brutal market, there are still smart moves to make. Buying in emerging areas, house hacking, or timing your strategic move. We can't control the system, but we can play it smarter than most people do. Because the goal isn't to beat the market, it's to understand it well enough to make it work for you. And that's how we close the gap, one informed strategic move at a time. And that's exactly what we help people do every day.